Alright, so people have been asking for a video talking about the D5Mr and how it handles, and we thought we'd do no better place to do this than at one of our drift nights. So the MR is complete. It's actually not my MR, it's Kev's MR, and this is Kev's D5s and Kev's D5Mr. So what I thought would be good to do was look at the differences between the two after building the kit, and you saw the video part 1 when we talked about the kit, and ask Kev a few questions about how he felt about it. Just straight away you can notice a few differences. What have you been up to with the car, Kev?
So first of all, with the MR, major changes I did was go to the D5 drive shafts on the drive shafts on the rear and axles on the front, just so it's the same as the D5, so it gets away with the strange drive shafts, which I've heard a few bad things about. So I thought for safety, just make sure the car's reliable, would make those changes.
I think the other thing for me was that just annoying to have, if you've got multiple cars, to have different ways the wheels bolt on. It just seemed a bit odd, and I know it's got a lot of criticism online, but they seem to say, I've seen one video where they were talking about how the bearings spin that much better with those hubs, but I can't quite understand it, and I think you're absolutely right. Changing them out for the D5 versions, change the bearing over, change the shaft over, make it a D5s in that respect. Definitely a good upgrade.
Well, I did the sensible thing when I actually ordered the car, was I ordered the drive shafts at the same time. Sadly, I forgot about the front axles, so that was a bit of an afterthought. I thought I'd get away with them, but I just couldn't get used to how the wheels were bolting on and the way it was working, so I decided to make the change. The other major difference on the MR you'll notice is I've gone to the IFS front suspension. So I've copied the D5 setup, just makes changes between the cars nice and easy. If I can try one on one car, back-to-back test them, just means it makes life easier, get cars both working in the same way really.
I think the other thing was, straight away, we had one night when we first fitted the MR down here and it seemed really nice, and then literally a week later came back, he changed nothing on the car, and all of a sudden it seemed super twitchy, wasn't driving right, we couldn't quite work it out. What was that all about?
I'm not sure if it was just gyro settings, if I'd changed something on the transmitter, so yeah, kind of went back to the drawing board and made a few differences with it. Running the hobby wing, the speed controller in it as well, so although it's not got any boost with, any turbo, it's not too bad on carpet really, but it's working well. Both cars have got the same motor in them, so they've got the Surplus Rocket V3 10.5s. Excellent budget motor in all fairness, about 35 quid online, so a real bargain motor, and so far with running them, not had any issues with them whatsoever. And both running a Savox 1252 servo, low profile.
So actually now, right here, right now, these are pretty similar, other than a slight difference of the ESC. They're actually very, very similar cars. And that's why we thought this was really great to see some back-to-back testing. So what we're going to do, we're going to video some D5 going round, and then some MR going round, and then have some comments from Kev about how he felt about the two different cars, so you get an idea if you were looking to purchase a D5s or you're looking to purchase a D5Mr, kind of make up your decision. We're trying to give a very fair and honest opinion here about just how they are, making no sort of prejudgments really. So we'll have a look at the cars and how they drive, and then we'll come back and see what you think. So it tends to be that the S, you just have to work that a little bit harder on the throttle to punch it to get it to step on initiation, so it tends to be a little bit lazier on carpet. We also tend to find you have to set up the camber a little different to reduce the rear grip, because it tends to have too much grip and just want to spit it forwards all the time. So two D5s, 240Zs also, my D5, currently being driven by Fish. So Fish v Kev, let's go. Alright, so this is the MR going round. camera time. Too fast for me. Alright, so having seen the two cars driving around, Kev, what are your thoughts then about how the two different chassis handle and drive? Which one do you choose for what surface and all that kind of stuff?
So for me, I'm finding the MR transitions a lot quicker than the D5. So on the carpet setup, I just find it much quicker to get in between the tight corners. A little bit better drift angle with it as well. So I just feel that it will sit at a nice drift angle all day long really. It's nice and balanced, very easy car to drive. It doesn't feel like it's a dangerous car that it's going to just spin out on you for no reason. So, you know, and that goes with both cars really. I think the D5 is a little bit lazy on carpet, but I have got the high motor mount on it, which has made a big difference to a standard D5. So that transition to get the motor up high on the D5 made it better on carpet. I have actually moved the battery towards the back for use on P-tile at Slide House. Just trying to get some weight towards the rear, so if I was running it on carpet all the time, I'd probably move the battery further forward again, just to try and get a bit of weight forward, just to help it transition between the corners. To be honest, both cars drive really nicely. I suppose my big thing is, when the D5 was such a good car out of the box, it felt a backward step with the drive shafts and the front axles. I think that was the one minus once I started building the car up that kind of put me off a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not an expensive change to put it back, and to be honest, what's in the kit, if you can get it to work, is a great starter. I just found it easier to try and mimic the two cars to make it as fair as possible between them and just make life a bit easier carrying the one set of spares with them. So for me, I think on carpet, the MR's definitely got the edge. It just transitions that little bit quicker, nice drift angles. The D5, if you're going to be using it more on kind of your P-tile surfaces or your resin or your concrete, definitely the easier car to especially get traction out of the corners with. So yeah, depending on the major way you're going to run the car, depends on which I would go for really.
That's fair enough. So if you were saying, right, okay, so I've got a carpet place nearby, I've got a resin place nearby, I've got to buy a jack of all trades, if you were that kind of a buyer, which one would you have gone for?
I think I'd have gone for the D5, the original. I just find if you go for the high motor option with the D5, it brings that weight forward, and all it's then a case of doing is moving the battery forward for carpet, moving it backwards for P-tile and resin, a few little tweaks to the rear camber, and you're pretty much there. The car will run between both surfaces with very little changes. So for me, I would personally go for the D5 over the 2 as an all-round car, especially as a beginner's car as well.
That's awesome. So there you go, there you have it. That's our thoughts on the D5s and MR. We'll just finish with some more clips of tonight and some more skids, and enjoy. Hopefully you found part 1 and part 2 of MR. Sorry for the noise. Gah! Noisy boys. Hopefully you found the D5 MR versus D5s really useful. And that's kind of our verdict really. If you're going on carpet, and you're only on carpet, probably go an MR. If you're only on hard surfaces, probably go an S. If you kind of mix between the two, if you're pushed to just have one car, probably go the S. And the choice is yours.